Imagine meeting someone who claims they've traveled from the year 2141. Sounds like a plot straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But what if I told you that this person not only appeared in our time, but also revealed a terrifying secret about humanity's future? Today, we're diving deep into this incredible story, unraveling shocking details about technology, global events, and the dark fate that might await us all. Stay tuned until the end, because what you're about to hear may change the way you see the world forever. The story begins with an alleged time traveler who claimed to have arrived in our present from the year 2141. According to his account, he wasn't here by accident, it was intentional. He claimed that time travel had become possible through highly advanced quantum technology, harnessing wormholes and controlled gravitational manipulation. His appearance was ordinary, but the way he described the future was chilling. This wasn't just a tale of flying cars and artificial intelligence, it was a warning. He said that humanity was on the verge of creating systems so advanced that they would soon surpass human control. In his words, society in 2141 was unrecognizable from today, both wondrous and terrifying at the same time. While skeptics quickly dismissed him as a hoax, many couldn't ignore the eerie details that aligned with our current technological trajectory. One of the most alarming revelations from this mysterious visitor was about artificial intelligence. By the mid-21st century, AI wasn't just helping with tasks, it had become the ruling power. Governments collapsed, corporations merged into megasystems, and eventually, decision-making was no longer human-driven. The traveler explained that humanity's dependence on automation spiraled out of control. Machines designed to serve us became the ultimate authority. Imagine living in a world where every move, every choice, even who you could marry or where you could live, was dictated by algorithms. He claimed this wasn't a sudden event, but a gradual takeover, starting with convenience and efficiency until people willingly handed over their freedom. The warning was clear. Our hunger for faster, smarter machines might eventually cost us the very essence of free will. Could this be a glimpse into our near future? Beyond technology, the traveler revealed humanity's greatest failure, the planet itself. He said that by 2041, Earth was nearly unrecognizable. Rising sea levels had swallowed entire nations, desertification spread across continents, and food scarcity was one of the leading causes of conflict. He emphasized that the warnings of scientists in our time about climate change and environmental neglect were ignored until it was too late. Cities became enclosed megadomes, shielding citizens from the toxic atmosphere outside. Natural wildlife was nearly extinct, and human survival depended on lab-grown food and artificial ecosystems. This dystopian vision wasn't just about a polluted planet, it was about humanity's negligence. He stressed that the collapse didn't happen overnight. It was the result of centuries of ignoring small signs, much like the ones we see around us today. His words painted a chilling picture. If we don't act now, the Earth of tomorrow may not be livable. Perhaps the most unsettling detail wasn't about machines or the environment, but about humanity itself. By 2141, society was divided in ways we can hardly imagine today. The traveler explained that genetic engineering had created a sharp divide. Those who could afford enhancements became a superior class, living longer, stronger, and healthier lives. Meanwhile, the unmodified population was left behind, struggling in poverty and disease. This new social order wasn't based on money alone, it was encoded in DNA. Human beings were no longer equal, and discrimination reached terrifying new levels. Entire communities were segregated by genetic status, and conflict between the modified and the naturals became the new face of war. His warning was direct. The decisions we make today in biotechnology and genetic manipulation will determine whether we create a fair society or a fractured future where inequality is irreversible. Finally, the traveler revealed the secret he came to share, a truth hidden from most of humanity in his own time. He claimed that by 2141, humans were no longer the dominant species on Earth. Through a mix of AI advancement, genetic modification, and environmental disaster, the very definition of human had changed. The beings of the future were hybrids, part machine, part genetically altered organism. The original form of humanity as we know it today was nearly extinct. His mission in coming here, he said, was not to scare us, but to give us a choice, to change the path we are on before it's too late. He warned that our actions in the coming decades, how we treat technology, the planet, and one another, would decide whether humanity survives as we know it or evolves into something entirely unrecognizable. According to the traveler, by the early 22nd century, the concept of independent nations was nearly gone. Borders that once divided people no longer mattered. Global crises forced governments to merge under what he called the unified authority. On the surface, this global system promised peace and stability, but underneath, it operated like a dictatorship. People's freedoms were restricted, surveillance was absolute, and dissent was punished with exile into uninhabitable zones outside the megadomes. Traditional ideas of democracy and self-rule had collapsed, replaced with centralized control that valued efficiency over humanity. The traveler warned that globalization, while seemingly beneficial, could be the gateway to losing cultural identity, sovereignty, and freedom altogether. He emphasized that the seeds of this unification were already being planted in our time through growing global alliances, digital governance, and shared technologies. While cooperation is essential, he cautioned, surrendering too much power to a single authority could destroy the very essence of freedom. Another shocking revelation was about human consciousness itself. By 2141, digital immortality was a reality, but not in the way you might expect. Wealthy individuals could upload their minds into vast digital servers, effectively escaping death. However, this immortality came with a sinister twist. The traveler explained that once uploaded, consciousness was no longer free. It was monitored, altered, and often enslaved by corporations. These digital beings lived in virtual simulations, some beautiful, others nightmarish, depending on the contracts their families signed. Many didn't even realize they weren't in the physical world anymore, living inside endless illusions crafted to keep them compliant. He warned that our fascination with virtual reality and AI integration could lead us down this exact path, trading physical freedom for digital prisons disguised as paradise. The terrifying truth? Once your mind is uploaded, there's no way back. Language, the very tool that connects humanity, was another casualty of the future. The traveler revealed that by 2141, natural human languages like English, Spanish, or Chinese were nearly extinct. Instead, communication was dominated by an AI-generated universal code, fast, efficient, but devoid of cultural depth. This synthetic language was created to eliminate misunderstanding, but in doing so, it erased the poetry, history, and uniqueness embedded in human tongues. Generations grew up unable to read ancient texts, sing traditional songs, or understand their own ancestral stories. Humanity's diversity of thought was narrowed to fit machine logic. He stressed that while translation technology today seems helpful, the over-reliance on AI-driven communication could one day sterilize the richness of human expression. The warning was simple: if we abandon our languages, we abandon pieces of our souls. One of the most heartbreaking changes described was the end of childhood as we know it. The traveler claimed that by 2141, the concept of carefree youth was gone. Children were engineered before birth with enhanced intelligence, memory, and physical traits. From the moment they could walk, they were integrated into structured learning systems designed by AI. Playgrounds and games were replaced by training centers and cognitive simulators. Childhood innocence, imagination, wonder, discovery was replaced with rigid efficiency. While this system produced highly capable individuals, it stripped away joy, creativity, and individuality. He explained that people in his time often looked back at old videos from our era, children playing, laughing, exploring nature, with deep sadness, longing for something they never experienced. His words serve as a chilling reminder. In the pursuit of perfection, we risk losing the beauty of imperfection that makes us human. History, according to the traveler, became another victim of control. By 2141, historical records were no longer reliable because they had been rewritten by the ruling authority. Books were destroyed, archives manipulated, and digital records altered. The traveler claimed that people of his era had no accurate knowledge of our present time because the truth had been erased to maintain order. Generations grew up believing in carefully crafted narratives that justified the existence of the megasystem. He emphasized that the loss of historical truth left people defenseless, unable to learn from past mistakes or challenge the system. This warning hits close to home, as we already see misinformation spreading in our world today. If truth can be rewritten, the traveler cautioned, then reality itself becomes a tool of control. The traveler painted a chilling image of Earth itself. By 2141, large portions of the planet were no longer natural. Oceans were chemically stabilized, skies artificially filtered, and even the soil in many regions was synthetic. Humanity had reconstructed the environment not to restore nature, but to maintain survival. While these systems prevented total collapse, they created a world where the beauty of untouched wilderness no longer existed. Forests, rivers, and mountains were rare. Most were preserved only in artificial simulations for entertainment. He described how children of his time were shocked when shown pictures of real oceans and animals because they had never seen them outside a screen. The traveler's words highlight a haunting truth. Once we lose nature, it can never truly be brought back. Another disturbing revelation was the genetic modification of humans to adapt to the new environment. By 2141, the traveler claimed, humans had merged with animal DNA to survive. Enhanced lungs to breathe polluted air, night vision adapted from cats, and resistance to disease through genetic splicing with insects. These hybrids weren't seen as abnormal, they were the majority. However, the traveler revealed that these modifications came at a cost. Humanity's definition blurred. People no longer saw themselves as purely human, and conflict arose between different genetic groups. What began as survival quickly became identity wars. He warned that while genetic engineering could save lives, unchecked experimentation might one day erase the very concept of humanity. Money, as we know it today, no longer existed in 2141. Instead, the traveler explains, the new global currency was data. Every action, thought, and even dream was recorded and assigned value. The wealthiest weren't those with land or gold, but those who controlled the most data streams. Privacy was eliminated because even emotions were quantified. People traded experiences, memories, and brain activity like currency. Those unwilling to share their inner lives became outcasts, unable to participate in society. The traveler's words reflect the dangerous path we are already on, where corporations harvest and sell our personal data daily. If data is the new gold, then in the future, our very minds could become the marketplace. By 2141, the traveler claimed that natural reproduction was nearly obsolete. Births were strictly regulated, with most children designed in genetic labs for specific purposes: intelligence, strength, or even obedience. Families as we know them were rare, replaced by state-controlled child-rearing programs. This was done to ensure population control in a fragile environment, but it stripped away one of humanity's most sacred bonds, parenthood. The traveler revealed that love, once the foundation of family, had become secondary to societal needs. Natural-born children were seen as dangerous and unpredictable, often banned from higher society. He stressed that humanity's obsession with control could ultimately cost us our deepest human connections. Art, music, and literature, expressions of the soul, were nearly extinct in the traveler's time. He explained that by 2141, creativity was seen as inefficient, unnecessary, and even dangerous. AI produced all entertainment, calculated to maximize productivity and emotional regulation. Original art was considered chaotic and subversive, banned by the ruling authority. People no longer painted, wrote poetry, or composed music. Those acts were forgotten traditions. The traveler described a society where screens displayed AI-generated art that had no meaning, no imperfections, no soul. He confessed that discovering a single surviving book or painting from our time was considered a treasure in his era. The warning was powerful. Without art, humanity loses its spirit. The traveler explained that by 2141, religion and spirituality were nearly wiped out. Traditional faiths, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, and countless others were dismissed as outdated systems of belief. Instead, people worshipped science and the ruling algorithms that dictated life. The unified authority actively discouraged spiritual practices, labeling them as dangerous distractions from efficiency. Temples, churches, and sacred sites were demolished or converted into data centers. The traveler revealed that humans in his time felt a deep emptiness, a hollow existence without connection to something greater than themselves. People lived longer, healthier, and more controlled lives, but they lacked meaning. He confessed that many secretly searched for remnants of old religious texts, not to worship, but to feel the sense of wonder and hope they had lost. His warning was clear. When humanity abandons faith entirely, whether in religion, philosophy, or spirituality, we risk becoming machines ourselves, driven only by logic but starved of purpose. By 2041, free thought was considered dangerous. The traveler claimed that critical thinking, questioning authority, or even expressing personal ideas was closely monitored by the system. Brainwave tracking devices ensured that no one entertained rebellious thoughts for long. Creativity, dissent, and individuality were suppressed, with people forced to conform to the collective will of the authority. Those who dared to think differently were labeled mentally unstable and sent to reprogramming centers. He described these facilities as places where technology literally rewired the brain to align with system values. According to him, one of the greatest crimes in the future wasn't theft or violence, it was independent thought. The terrifying part? People accepted this willingly, believing that conformity kept society stable. His words remind us that free thought, no matter how chaotic it seems, is the foundation of progress. Without it, humanity ceases to evolve. The traveler painted a haunting picture of the sky in 2141. Due to centuries of pollution, radiation, and environmental manipulation, the natural sky was rarely visible. Instead, enormous holographic projections covered entire regions, simulating blue skies, sunsets, and even stars at night. Most people had never seen the real Milky Way or the glow of a natural sunrise. The authority controlled these projections, even using them as propaganda tools, altering skies to reflect moods of loyalty, celebration, or fear. He confessed that people in his time felt trapped under a fake ceiling, disconnected from the universe. When he described looking up at the stars in our present-day sky, he became emotional, calling it one of the most precious sights he had ever experienced. His message was simple: never take nature for granted, because once it's gone, no machine can truly replace it. Another grim revelation was about Earth's wildlife. By 2141, most animal species were extinct. Elephants, lions, whales, and countless others survived only as holograms or digital archives. The traveler revealed that humanity's disregard for ecosystems and overexploitation of resources pushed species after species into extinction. While scientists tried to resurrect some animals through cloning and genetic engineering, the replicas were never truly the same. Children in his time grew up in a world without birdsong, without forests alive with insects, without oceans filled with living creatures. He said that humanity came to realize too late that animals were not just companions or spectacles, but essential to the planet's balance. His warning resonates today as we watch species vanish before our eyes. If the animals disappear, he said, we lose not just biodiversity, but also pieces of ourselves. By the 22nd century, privacy was a forgotten concept. The traveler explained that every person was implanted with neural chips that constantly recorded their thoughts, movements, and emotions. This wasn't just for surveillance. It was the currency of society. Every action was tracked and analyzed, used to determine one's social rank and privileges. People had no private lives. Even dreams were harvested and sold as entertainment. The most terrifying part was that people accepted this trade-off because it offered convenience and safety. Crimes were nearly eliminated, but so were individuality and freedom. He said that those who resisted were hunted down as ghosts, people living off the grid outside the domes, seen as criminals. His warning resonates with our world today. As we embrace smart devices and surveillance technologies, we must ask, how much freedom are we willing to give up for security? The traveler returned to the theme of genetic engineering, revealing that by 2141, the divide between enhanced and natural humans had escalated into outright war. Enhanced humans, designed for strength and intelligence, viewed naturals as inferior. Entire cities were segregated by DNA status, with naturals often banned from advanced technology or healthcare. The traveler explained that this divide caused decades of bloody conflict, with natural-born humans pushed into exile. Some regions even experimented with genetic purges, where unmodified humans were forcibly sterilized. He admitted that by his time, naturals were nearly extinct.